Well, thank you so much for having us, guys. It's been great kind of sitting in and seeing uh, from your perspectives everything that you're learning, and it's great to be here to support you guys. Before we continue to aid you in more information about Rotary Club Central, I want to give you guys a little bit more information about who John and who we are and who we are to you. So we are based in the Evanston, Illinois office. We're part of a 530-ish, maybe a little more, maybe a little less staff. And we are all managed by our general secretary that some of you might have seen on Friday, John Hugo. Now, on top of us here in Evanston, we are also based all around the world, as you guys know this. But we have, as you can see on the board here, quite a few different offices, and this will be an additional 200 staff members that will help basically everywhere. So if you're looking for help somewhere in the world, you're going to find someone to help you there. Now, specifically, who John and I are representing is the club and district support team. So I want to give a little bit more information about myself. I'm Andres, and I'm going to have my information here for a little bit. Don't worry, we'll send it to you guys after the end of this, so that way you don't have to jot anything down in a rush or anything. So I started in the support center, actually, and then in this January, I transferred over to the club and district team. So while I'm a little new to the role, I'm not new at all to Rotary, so it's been great learning about just this side of things. It's been great meeting more people and getting connected. And I will actually let John introduce himself.
Yeah, I'm John Hannes, and I do want to say, it's been such a treat to have Andres join our team. It's been a little funny because he joined us in January, and about a week later, I was like, well, I'm off to the International Assembly to help out there. I'll see you in a couple weeks. And then I got back home and was like, hey, I'm back home. Let's start learning how to do stuff. And then it was COVID-19 time, so we'll just work from home and continue to meet on Zoom. So we've been through a lot of Zoom meetings ourselves. As mentioned, I'm John Hannes. I'm a senior officer with Club and District Support. I started at Rotary in November of 2010, so I'm actually coming up on my 10th anniversary. And I've been with Club and District Support the entire time, and we'll kind of get into some of the details of what we do, and it's really the reason why I've stayed with this team and have enjoyed working with all of you in this kind of support.
Yeah, so continue on that, kind of like the more core things of what we handle, as you can see on the screen here, are policy, resources, admin help, and online tools. So to give a little bit more background on that, policy, we kind of help so you guys are not so bogged down by the language of things. So if the council comes to an understanding of how to change some rules, you guys don't have to try to understand everything all at once. We will do that, and then we'll come to you with the information. That way it's more digestible. When it comes to resources, this can be something like a PDF to help you understand something, or it can be connections to other people. While we handle the certain sides of certain things, there might be other teams in our offices that might know more or can be able to help, and it's just fun and easy to connect you to, so that way you guys have that resource. When it comes to admin help, let's say a club is interested in creating a satellite club, or the district wants to come up with a new just Rotary Club in itself. We can help make sure that everything is all copacetic and we have a good club running. And last but not least, we have the online tools. So we kind of help with My Rotary, just so that way you can understand what you'll be doing in your roles. And one of the big things that we'll do is go on to Rotary Club Central. So when we use Rotary Club Central, it's a good hub for all these things that you'll be using. You can use this to set your own goals, and then you'll try to use this to continue tracking where you're at, where you'll be going, and how your projects are doing. I am hoping to give you guys some time near the end if you guys have any questions. So if not, feel free to contact John and I later. But I will then let John create, through magic, the screen to show you guys how this tool will work.
Yeah, thanks so much. And we're going to kind of walk through the process of getting to Rotary Club Central, setting some goals, and then we'll talk a little bit about different things to think about while you're in the tool. Um, as Andre said, if we have the time available, we'd love to answer some questions in an open forum type setting. We're both going to hang out after this part of the presentation because I talk a lot. And so I want to be sure that we do get an opportunity to address questions. You can also put stuff in the chat box while I'm talking, and then we can try to address those along the way. But the main thing is that in order to utilize Rotary Club Central, which is our online tracking for goals and then achievements of those goals, you need to be a club officer. And you need to be identified as one for your club for the upcoming Rotary year. Hopefully by this point that's already happened, but if you log on to your My Rotary account and then notice that you don't have some of the access available, let us know, and then we can kind of do a little bit of research and see what's going on. Maybe there's a different email address that we've got on hand, or maybe you just hadn't been identified in the role properly. We can help clarify that or work with your club secretary to help clarify that as well. After logging into my Rotary, and this is my own account, so I'll just show you that there are a couple of different ways to get to Rotary Club Central. To be sure that you've got access, you'll see something here called the My Club Snapshot.
Oh, sorry, John. It looks like the slideshow is still
It's still showing. Okay, hold on here. Thanks for breaking in. Can you see what's going on here? Hold on. I might be young, but I'm not that young. I'm figuring out how to do the stop share. We're just going to stop and we're going to share this thing here. Technology. All right, you should be able to see my browser. Okay, cool. That's how you know this is live. On my Rotary's landing page, you should be able to see the club snapshot, and it'll identify the club that you belong to, where you meet, who your president is, how many members you've got, and so on. And then there is a link here to view club goals. But if you're utilizing the website in any other way, my preferred path to come in is here under this Manage section. Under the Club and District Administration heading, down to the bottom is Rotary Club Central. And when you click on it, it'll either open up a new window or a new tab. It really depends on your browser settings. And then you'll be presented with a dashboard of data. And so this dashboard will show you things like membership trends, gender trends as well. You've got age, as long as people have been reporting that in their profiles, and then your projects and annual fund contributions. Now, each of these has sort of a somewhat interactive quality. You can see where you started on July 1st. This is our membership trend. Gender trends, you can kind of see that my club has more women than we do men in the club. And that's just basic views. But to get into certain things, to start adjusting some of this information or to start really utilizing it, there's an area here on the left-hand side that helps you navigate through the tool. If you've been a president before and you've been in a previous version of Rotary Club Central, you might remember that it was kind of overwhelmed with options or overwhelmed with goals. We've really tried to address that in this current version after an update of a couple of years ago. To look at goals, we'll take a look at the Goal Center here, and then the main field will refresh. One thing before I do move on to sort of utilizing this, if you don't happen to see this left-hand navigation or you're using a mobile device, this little 3 dashes here helps hide or adjust that menu setting. Someone once referred to it as a hamburger in a meeting that I was in, and I will never not call it a hamburger. So this hamburger basically brings up your menu. In this tool, the way that it currently is set is that it's always going to go to the current Rotary year and present you with the goals and the achievements for the current year. And since a lot of you are incoming officers, one of the first steps that you'll want to do is make sure that you utilize the Selector Tool that will page you forward to the proper Rotary year. You'll see the screen refresh. You'll see some slight animation there. And then one big identifier to make sure that you are an active officer for this particular Rotary year or that you've been recorded properly is that this edit bar should appear for you. If this edit button doesn't show up for you, then it means we have you coded as an entry-level Rotarian, and then that's something that we have to adjust. Every single club member in your club has the ability to log into My Rotary, head to Club Central, and start taking a look at the goals and the progress toward those goals. They just can't edit. There are 6 positions in a club who have the capability of editing. That's the president, the secretary, the treasurer, foundation chair, the membership chair, and then if your club has an executive secretary, that position can as well. As Kenny very kindly said earlier, it's going to feel like your responsibility to come in and edit all these goals. And it's going to feel like your responsibility as the president to make sure that people are staying on task and that you're achieving these goals and that you're updating these. It's not just your responsibility. It really is any club members, but those 6 key positions would have the ability to help track some of this information. So it's taking a little bit off of your plate. Each of those 6 members can also delegate their online access to one other club member in the club, meaning there are actually potentially 12 people that could help come in and maintain this tool. And we'll talk about some of those benefits in just a minute, but I'm going to kind of walk through some of the information that we see here. Now, I should also say that this is a live environment. This is for my own Rotary Club. My club president-elect already has like a plan to go in and set this as a club. So I'm going to walk us up to the point of hitting save, and then I'm going to hit cancel because I do not want to freak them out. And if I accidentally hit save, somebody please speak up because I'll go in and fix it later. But in this section, we wanted to present each officer, really, or each club member an opportunity to take a look at some key information, namely the goal itself, the achievement, and then also some historical information. So here, underneath each of these individual goals is an opportunity to expand and then see the last 5 years worth of data. This hopefully will help make an informed goal as you continue to move forward. Now it's going to look like there's a lot of info here. Really what this is that we've got the hard data here, just the plain old numbers. And then on the left-hand side, the same information as a pretty picture. Some people like to look at numbers, some like to look at pictures. We're giving you both. And that's true for every single goal that's available. Now, unlike a previous version of this tool and unlike a paper form that it actually replaced, we decided that we wanted to make sure that this was an a la carte type of tool. So after you've logged on and after you've hit edit, the screen will change. And you can see that our club had to actively come in, and your club will too, actively go into the tool and select the goals that it wants to do for the next year. This particular goal, new member sponsorship, didn't seem to be a key goal for our club, and so it was left unselected. In fact, I can't even set a goal because it hasn't been identified as one that we're doing. Now, if we wanted to come in and set this as a goal, we would just click select a goal. It activates that box, and then you can see that I can actually come in here and make an entry. Again, I'm not going to save that just because I don't want someone to have a rude email to me later. There are about 72 or so goals that are found in this tool. You don't have to set all of them. Set as many as you feel comfortable doing as a club. They're broken up into different categories like members and engagement, Rotary Foundation giving. Service has probably the smallest list available because we're just trying to see how many service projects you think you'll do during the course of the year. Young leaders, public image, or if you do want to see all of them, this all button will lead you to that space. Now there are different goals in this tool that will either provide you with an update on its achievement, or there will be some that you have to come in and mark your own achievements. And I'll show an example of that here. Club membership is based off of what gets entered into our records for any new member or any termination that your club experiences during the course of the year. So we, as an organization, are able to report that goal achievement back to you. So you can see that my club had set a goal of 41 members next year. As we go through the year, this ticker will it'll adjust on its own. Service participation, though, is so specific to our club that we want to have 20 unique individuals in our club, at least half of our club, participating in at least one service activity during the course of the year. Well, that's something that Rotary can't really identify. We can't identify the unique individuals. We could just sort of see like overall you reported that 20 people did this project, 14 did the other project, but that doesn't say that Andres did 4 and John did 3. That's something that then means that you have to come in and then mark the achievement on your own. And that just takes place at the end of the year. You can do this incrementally, but really at the end of the year. And it just involves you clicking into the space and then hitting save once the activity is done. And that's true for a good number of these. Yes, I'm sure I want to cancel. That's true of a number of different things. Foundation giving, we can report back to you your activity here. Service is something that you'll report on your own, and I'll show that tool in just a second, and so on. One difference, if anybody is carrying over as a club officer from this year to the new Rotary year, is that you'll see that the Rotary Citation tab has disappeared. I'll flip back a page just so you can see it's right here, and that is moving forward. The Rotary Citation in its current form for the 1920 and then previous Rotary years involved you receiving a brochure. It listed off different goals in different categories, and from there you had to achieve specific things. And while a number of them could remain the same from year to year, there were always 1 or 2 or maybe 3 goals that were specific to the president at the time, and we couldn't find a place to house it. So we put its own special tab in Rotary Club Central. For the new Rotary year, all reporting and all activities and actually all the goals are going to be housed in Club Central in the various categories that they belong to. And as a club, you'll actually have the ability to go in and select which of those goals you'd like to set. And I believe the number is 25. And of those 25, if you can achieve 13 of them, any 13 across any category, you then earn the citation. And after this, as part of our wrap-up, we'll also send you a citation guide that's found on My Rotary, but we'll make sure that you've got a PDF available to you so that you just have easy access to it. We hope that actually the organization itself and President-elect Holger hope that this makes this a lot more achievable. We've seen a trend in the past of clubs getting all the way up to one final component and then not being able to set up that component because of some limitation within their region. And we just didn't feel it was fair that so many clubs were getting one away from earning a citation, and then we had to sort of say, we're so sorry. So hopefully your club will take a look at this opportunity and work on achieving this. It's always nice to sort of have that boost as the year closes out. I do want to take a look at service activities because that will really drive the activity here on the service page. I'm going to go back a year just so that we can see some of the activity that my club has been doing, because right now it's a whole bunch of blanks. And I'll just kind of show you a little bit about this part of the tool. So I've gone back to 2019, 2020. You do have the opportunity to add a brand new service project or repeat one from the past. So a brand new project allows you to fill in some blanks, which is basically the project title, a summary or a quick description of the project, when it began and when it ended, whether that was one day or a whole week. You can mark whether or not the project was completed here. And then we're going to look at this in kind of 2 different ways. There's the first column here, which is projections, what you think you'll achieve as far as the number of members, what you, that's a lot of people, maybe 12, what you think that you'll be able to accomplish for the number of hours contributed. This particular box has been a little tricky for some people, and what we ask you to do here is multiply the length of the service activity itself by the number of people that are attending. So if 12 people are projected for this project, and I know it's going to be a 2-hour project or involve 2 people, or sorry, 2 hours of everyone's time, that would actually be a 24 hours worth of service done in this one particular project. Cash contributions, the valued good donations or in-kind donations, and then come back later during the course of the project, maybe right when it's finished. You could do this from a phone, or at the next time that you've come through the tool to make some updates, and then mark the achievements. Did you get your 12? Did they put in a collective 24 hours? Additional details down below will allow you to choose the category, which would be things like, was it a community project, an international project? Was it vocational? That it involved young leaders? Any number of these things. Another item in here is the area of focus, or polio, or environment, or disaster response. And really, you could choose multiples. If you choose area of focus, you can actually focus in on the focus and say this was about disease prevention and treatment. You could select in this section here who your partners have been. And then the very key thing to do is to mark the project complete when it's done, and then hit save. And when you hit save, it puts it into this space here, the completed project space. The current projects is things that are things that we've set up as a sort of interim thing, and they're only existing in this column because we haven't marked it as complete. Once it is complete, you can also, and I'll show an example here, export this project into Rotary Showcase, which is another one of our online tools that, in my opinion, is more like a show and tell of projects that you've done. In that space, you can add videos, you can add photos, you can share with the rest of the Rotary world how you did it, and then some tips on how they too can do this in case another club or a district is interested in that type of project. In this space, like I mentioned, you can repeat a past service project. So if I was to click on this, it allows me to look back through time and then choose a project that had already existed, copy the project's information. So it gives us the project summary. It gives us like our previous totals. So we could use this to inform how many people we think we can get to be volunteers at this project, how many hours we think they could put forward, and so on. Once you have marked a project complete, it adjusts the counter at the bottom of the page as well. It gives you a summary of the service projects projected and completed, the number of hours, the number of hours completed, the contributions and in-kind donations. And then this feeds back into this goal center goal as well. So if I was to click on this number here, 7 achieved, should match what's happening in the projects completed section here. Now, a couple of people have mentioned this. Ed mentioned this a little bit earlier as well, and I kind of want to drive home why we believe it's important to put information into this tool, and then also the service and activities area. And the first reason is that we've found, and I think a number of people have found, that it's easier to achieve a goal if you've set a goal. It's easier to achieve something if you've set a goal. And so even if you come in and do some bare bones goal setting or some minimum goal setting, as long as you've done that type of activity and you can report back on that activity, it just sets up your successors and their successors for a little bit more success. It's also possible that you could come in and set a pretty lofty goal, like say you want to get to 100 members by the end of the Rotary year, even though you only have a tradition of going up to 50 or 40. This can help show in data that goal was either very achievable or wasn't. And it gives you a sense of what you could do the following year. Maybe 100 was too much. Maybe we could dial it back down to 60 or 25 or 15, whatever that goal happens to be. The other thing about this tool, and the reason that we really want to start capturing things in the service and activities area, is that for years we've been able to track what we've done as an organization for our eradication efforts for polio. We know when the project started, we know that we're still working on it 35 years later, and we know how much money has gone out, how many volunteers have gone out and been in the field. We have these stories, and we're able to tell those stories to other organizations like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and call upon them for partnerships. We don't have that same data, and we don't have those same stories for all of the other projects that are happening at the local levels. So we're aware that there are a lot of literacy projects. We're aware that there are a lot of water and sanitation projects. We just don't have it cataloged in a usable way or a manageable way. And so we're asking clubs to please consider putting them into this area. And it does sound a little selfish, and it does sound like Rotary is trying to mine this information for bigger partnership opportunities, and that's kind of true. But what we're also hoping is that at the local level, within your club or within your district, you would be able to take a look at this data and present it to any business or any organization that's looking to become more philanthropic. Yes, it's still very important to do what we've said before by telling your story as a club, make sure that you tug at the heartstrings as a club. But now we're seeing that, or we're seeing the possibility that other people have caught onto that idea too, that a lot of people are telling their stories and saying, here's who we are and how we benefit our community. So we want to make sure that you've got an edge by saying, yes, this is who we are. And then here's the data that backs that up. And hopefully that will help some decisions in your favor. It might not work, but it might. Some other things that are found here in this sort of menu of are resources. So I'll click on this and you can see that it's broken up into different items here, general resources like how to navigate this tool. And we'll make sure that you have access to this as well after this presentation. Membership resources, resources for young leaders, service, and then foundation. And then we also have provided access to different reports as well. And this is broken up again into different categories: members, Rotary Foundation, giving, and service. And it's broken up into club level and then also district level. So you can get a little bit of a bigger picture of what's happening out amongst the rest of your clubs. A lot of these can be found out on My Rotary, but we kind of felt like it was nice to be able to present these to you here in this space, that as you're working on goals or focusing on those, you could come back in and have access to these right away. You do have access to see some of this information as well in this global view area, which allows you to basically zoom out to the world and see what's happening everywhere else. But you can drill down to the zone, you could drill down to the district, or even your own club group. So if you are a competitive person and you want to say, pay attention to the other clubs within your own club grouping and sort of say like, all right, we're getting our goals in and we're getting them recorded, this is a cool section of this tool for you. Something else that was mentioned, and a piece of advice that I'd like to also offer, Carol earlier in her part of the presentation talked about coming in and doing a club assembly, checking on the goals that you've set for the year and making sure that you're staying on task with your strategies. She recommended 6 months. I recommend that this is a good starting point. Another good starting point might be once a quarter, or in the case of my club, we do this anytime a speaker cancels or we've got bad weather and some people couldn't make it. So this is something that you can very quickly throw up onto a TV or into a Zoom or other online meeting space and walk through with your club and make sure that people are seeing what is happening. Again, because we've made it so transparent, it's a little bit easier to stay on task in getting these accomplished. So that's kind of what we wanted to address. I know I went through them a little bit quickly. There was quite a bit to cover, but hopefully this gives you a taste of what's to come. It gives you a little bit of inspiration to go into this space with your club officers, and gives you the opportunity to hit the ground running when July 1st gets here. I see that there are, I'm getting a private message from Kyle Haugen saying I need to be done. So I will go ahead and end it there, but I'll still address questions. Andres will be here as well to address questions in the chat box. And then again, at the end of the this whole evening, we'll still be here in case there is open forum time.